And back with another one, guys. Today we have our 2006 Toyota Highlander. It's a hybrid model. We're doing the front brakes and rotors. You're going to use a 21 millimeter socket or 4-way to take off the lug nuts after you lift the car safely. Place it on the car jack. Remove all 5 lug nuts. And then you're going to use a 14 millimeter for the 2 brake caliper bolts. And that's the one at the top, one at the bottom. You can use either a regular ratchet, 3/8 ratchet, or whatever you have at your disposal, but you want to use a 14 millimeter. Slide that off of there and safely put it on the shocks. You usually want to tie it on there with some zip ties or a string or something. I didn't use that. And then also when it comes to getting the brakes off, these brakes were pretty tough getting on and off both ways. They got a weird design because of the brake caliper. That metal piece in the front there makes it really hard for those just to come off. So you can use like a flathead screwdriver, which I did, and pry them off of there. And if you're using a flathead, make sure you don't damage the rotor. If you're not replacing the rotor, you're just doing the brakes, because you could damage the rotor doing that too. But I'm replacing these rotors, so I didn't really care. Those rotors were bad. The back sides were bad, and the front sides, they felt very rough. And you can just tell by the brake look. And also, I'm putting the new retainer clips, or the caliper clips, where the brake seat in and go. Now, you don't necessarily have to. You can clean the old ones, but my customer, he bought the ones that came with it, so I was like, why not replace them? Sometimes they get old and brittle, and they begin to break, and the brake doesn't seat in there right anymore. So when you're braking, it's not braking properly because it's not seated properly. So that's why you change those. Next, we're going to do the bracket. The bracket, those 2 bolts right there, got one right there. And then if the sun will get it out your way, and then there's one right there at the top. So you got one bottom, one top. Both of those are 17 millimeter bolts. Hold it in that bracket. So those are going to be definitely tougher than the brake compressor bolts. You want to use a breaker bar to get those off of there. Now, the method I used to break these bolts off, I don't suggest anybody use it. It's just me. Literally, you're not supposed to do this, but I have a jack stand under there, so I kind of wasn't worried. Plus, I have the e-brake on, but this is very unsafe. But this is how I get it. Boom. And you can hear both of those click. That's those those bolts breaking loose. And then I just use my impact just to screw them out of there so I can get them out faster. But yeah, laying right there, I'm going to stress this again, it's not a good spot to lay just in case something happens. But got to get the job done, so this was the easiest for me. But always either stand up or just get a stronger breaker bar with the pipe attached to it, or some WD-40, and break those bolts loose so you can get them out of there safely. But as you see, my jack standing there, and then also as well, I have the tire under the vehicle on top of the e-brake on. So both of those, all 3 of those, are very important. So after we get that off of there, put that aside, line the bolts up. You want to just slide the rotor off here. Sometimes you can't because maybe somebody who's put the rotor on before put some anti-seize, or not anti-seize, there's just something on the wheel hub making that rotor sit on there pretty good. So, like, again, once again, if you are reusing these, I would use a rubber mallet. You're going to be probably hitting these a little bit longer, but I would use a rubber mallet so you don't damage the rotor. If not, then use a good strong hammer and you're going to hit the rotor until it falls off in a specific way. You're going to hit the top, the bottom, the side, and the other side. Not just hit the rotor from the side, you want to hit the front side. So first I'm going to try the rubber mallet, see how that works. See, it's not really doing nothing. And then if you kind of can tell that brake compressor, or I'm sorry, the brake caliper was about to fall, so I'm going to hold that at the same time. That's why I suggest you put zip ties or a string on there so make sure it doesn't fall. So now I'm trying the big hammer. So I think it's a 4-pound. And it's going to flop right off here. So yeah, just like that. Like I said, I'm not reusing these rotors, so I could care less if I put a dent in them or anything like that, but you can damage them by hitting them like that if you're not replacing them. Now it's time to reinstall everything, the fun part. And you're just going to do reverse operation just a little bit. Put your new rotor on and line it up. And then next we're going to add the bracket so we can hold the rotor and then do the rest. And then also I try to clean a little bit on the rotor. I try to clean the, I'm probably gonna cut this part out anyways. Now it's time to put on the new rotor, line it up. Usually you would have the stud holes. Of course, you put the rotor back on, but usually there's smaller holes that you put another screw in. But this one didn't come with that one, so you can line it up however you want. There's nothing else you have to screw into it. And then also I'm making sure that the pistons inside the caliper or bouncy or have enough grease on there. If they feel hard to push in or not, if they do feel hard to push in, then you want to take those out, move the rubber bushing back, and then slide the piston out, and then re-grease them, and then put them back in. So that way it's a smooth brake, and the pistons aren't getting stuck in there, just like so. You want to take it out, and that's the piston I'm removing right out of that rubber bushing that holds on to the bracket. And slide it back in. All right, so now I'm just reinstalling. I'm putting the bolts back in to the caliper. You can't really see me doing it. I don't have to caliper the bracket, but I'm really just lining it back up and then adding the bolts back in, those 2 17s. So now that's back on there. That's how it's gonna look. We're gonna put the new clips back on, and then the brakes, and then the caliper. like I said, these brakes were very, very tricky. I got it on the first side, and the second side was easy, but it was just trying to figure out that front side, getting it past the bracket, the front side of the bracket. But once you use a flathead to kind of move back the clips, you'll be able to get it in. It was kind of tricky though. And then at the end, you want to make sure you use some brake cleaner. Yeah, you put the brake clips back in, and once you get them situated, you'll be able to put the brakes in. But it is an issue. I'm not gonna lie, these aren't really simple.